Welcome to the Rampant Discourse YouTube channel. I'm your host, Paul Essen.
I'm Andrew Riley.
I'm Travis Hudson.
And what are we doing today, Travis?
You almost forgot to ask me.
I did. I was distracted.
So, as if you need it more, we're having beer today again for day 4 of the Advent calendar from the Brewer's Advent 2021.
And why day 4,
Leah.
Travis?
Why what?
Why day 4? Is it because it comes after 3?
Yeah.
Have you been drinking already, Paul?
Sorry.
Today is brought to you by the number 4 and the letter
D.
A. I don't know.
I thought we had a thing going where, like, the first day you're like, we're going to start with day 1. And I'm like, that's a good decision. And then I think on day 3 we said something too. I don't know.
I'll wear my Mr. Rogers cardigan the next time. I don't actually own a Mr. Rogers cardigan.
Won't you be my advent calendar?
I know I'm buying you for Christmas.
Oh boy, my birthmas. Yay. All right. So we're doing number 4, right, Paul?
Yeah, 4.
It's not next to number 3 because it's an Advent calendar.
Which,
And
come on, advent calendars, get your act together. I mean, seriously, have you ever gotten a calendar where it's like, let's have everything out of order?
Teaching kids how not to count for 100 years. There you go.
Yeah. Only Catholic kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I don't think
I don't think it has anything to do with Catholicism. It's very much mainstream, I think.
No, it's a capitalist thing.
It's definitely capitalist.
You're teaching capital. Wait. Yeah, I don't know if you want
capitalists not to
capitalists not knowing how to count, but anyway. There's a guy who knows how to drink some beer. Look at that.
Yeah. He's got almost his stein's almost as big as Andrew's.
I don't know if you're supposed to drink in uniform though. I guess it's German.
Yeah.
So, already getting completely off topic, but my current boss is a German expat. And, of course, there's this requirement that we not drink during company hours, but he tells me he's working 24/7 because it's a 24/7 environment. Therefore, we're having our lunch, and he's absolutely drinking beer at lunch. So, it's totally fine.
So there was
Stereotypes beautifully.
also to drive us off topic before Andrew can even introduce our beers, we're cracking it open, is since we're still in COVID times and we had to put our masks back on at work after a brief 3 weeks. But one of the times obviously you don't have to have your mask on is if you're eating or drinking. So one guy was like, sorry guys, I'm going to be drinking all day long now. No. Obviously he was joking, but
I mean, it is kind of silly. Like, if you take sips throughout the day, yeah. Well, someone's getting ahead of himself.
Oh man.
So this is Husarentrunk, which, speaking of all the drinking we're going to be doing, it means a drink of the Hussars, or the horse cavalry. This is brewed by Schloss Brewery Brewer, has 5.3% alcohol by volume. This is an export-style lager. So this is a lager, but it's a very particular kind of lager, which is not very much in fashion anymore. Export lagers used to be the most popular kind of beer in Germany, but they fell out of favor, and they are now very, very hard to find for the most part.
Wait, sorry, you said export lager?
Correct, this is an export style.
So this is, not to derail you, but so this is brewed to be sold outside of Germany?
No, which is where the wording gets a little bit weird. The word export is a style of beer here. It probably has something to do with the fact that it was originally for an export product that wasn't being kept in the shelves in the castle, and it was being sold elsewhere. But the word is so old, the style is so old that it means something different at this point. And it's just this style of beer. This one is our captain here of the Hussars. This is Anna von Spiegel, who was briefly in charge of the brewery and has this beer after his style.
Von Spiegel.
Correct.
So not to wasn't that the author of the Mouse graphic
yes.
novel?
Correct. It was Art Spiegelman.
Art Spiegelman, okay.
Because he was Jewish. Not being stereotypical, but that's because I didn't even watch Friends, but there was a joke about how you spell Spider-Man is Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man. He's not a Jewish lawyer or something is the joke that they make on Friends.
Why would it be a lawyer?
Because I guess if it was Spider-Man, it would be Spiegelman or any other I guess it's a Jewish, not idiom, but that's like I don't know. Blame friends if you want to be offended, people.
So
That's another show from the 90s that's going to be canceled. Good job. We're rolling in the 90s still.
Wait, did you say a '90s show that's going to be canceled?
Yeah.
I'm
Canceled like cancel culture, not canceled as
Oh,
canceled.
okay.
We're going to go back to it and like, oh wow, we were laughing at these jokes in the 90s. They were really offensive.
Thankfully, there was no episode of Saved by the Bell where Zach put on blackface.
Are we sure?
I don't know.
that was totally a Screech thing to do.
That's
Screech or Dustin Diamond thing.
Yeah. So okay,
although poor one out for Dustin Diamond, he is dead. So let's.
Oh yeah, like from cancer or something, like an aggressive form of cancer, right? Yeah.
After a very weird life.
Yeah.
He lived as he acted.
Oddly.
In a locker. There you go. Screech is always coming out of the locker.
He lived in a locker?
Doesn't have to make sense. Come on.
Okay.
We're on beer 4.
Have you even taken a sip yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Just smelled.
The Hussars, you said it was somewhere along your description, right? The Horsemen?
Yes.
I always thought that was a Russian thing. Is it more German?
It's very Caucasian, shall we say?
Okay.
In the sense of the formerly Caucasus regions.
Oh, okay. And hey, I actually, as an avid Access and Allies player, I know where the Caucasus are. The Caucasus, right? That's the table to say it. Okay.
All right. Since I already asked a geography question on an earlier beer, where are the Caucasus Islands? Or is it Caucasus Islands?
I have no idea where the Caucasus Islands are.
Okay, the Caucasus. When I hear a plural like that, I assume it means like islands, but like the Philippines or something. But
it's the south western area of Russia. Is the easiest way I can describe it. I think.
Oh, western. Okay.
Western. I believe it's oil rich, if I remember my history correctly. Or there's some reason why.
The Hussars were from a period of time when oil didn't matter, so.
So is there a reason why white people are called Caucasian then?
Oh, very, very complicated. Very complex. It makes very little sense. So how Hitler was all about the Aryan race, it goes right back to people that he was not anything related to, right? So,
I feel like this is when they asked Apu, was the Civil War about slavery, and they say yes.
Actually, there are many different reasons. Like just say yes.
Another '90s reference. See, Paul?
There you go.
Chalking it up. The Simpsons is still on though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
new
that's what I mean. New episodes. Yeah. Like, so is South Park too, I think.
Although The Simpsons now owned by Disney.
Well, because they
Disney Plus, but is it owned by Disney?
They bought Fox. Yeah.
It wouldn't be on Disney Plus if they didn't own it. I don't know if Disney Plus does
to a certain extent, right? It's all just a little crazy in the end.
Well, to Andrew's point, there was an Avatar land in Disney World before they owned Avatar from Fox. I don't know how it exactly worked, but
yeah, that's the arrangement was like, hey, this is some really awesome cinematic thing, and they also made arrangements to have Star Wars attractions before they had Star Wars.
Well, I wonder. It's kind of meaningless, but I wonder who arranges that first, right? Does the person who owns Avatar go to Disney and say like, "Hey, we obviously don't have a theme park. We would like to have a theme park ride. You have a theme park. Let's work it out." Or does Disney go to them? It's probably a case by case basis, I'm sure. But
yeah, what the story is though, I don't know.
Because
that's public is probably not the real story.
Because Avatar is like a single property, it would make sense that they would go to someone else. Star Wars, before they got bought, yeah, I could have almost seen Lucas would have tried to make his own theme park. But
there's not a lot of companies that have their own theme parks, right? There's Disney, there's Universal Studios. I mean, Lego kind of has their own thing. Hershey Park has their own like completely not branded thing. Sesame Place.
Well, how is Hershey Park not branded?
Well, I mean, it's branded like Hershey products, I guess, but like not branded like with any kind of media property kind of thing.
Right. There's no Hershey Saturday morning cartoon to advertise.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone's like, man, I really want to ride the Kit Kat roller coaster because I love Kit Kats, right? It's just whereas
Yes.
someone could be like, I want to ride, the Star Wars ride because I love the Millennium Falcon. I don't know. Maybe people do.
No, and yeah, yes, I understand what you're saying there. Like Disney has the built-in, like their rides are based on other in-house properties, but they most people, yes, are going there. Although sometimes it goes the other way, right? Pirates of the Caribbean was a ride and then became a movie, and then probably the movie made the ride more popular.
And Jungle Cruise.
And the one that's closed,
One
because
that's closed.
because they sang Zippity Doo Dah during it and everything. It was from a song. It was the
Splash Mountain.
yeah, Splash Mountain.
But that's
Splash
not a
Mountain was closed.
movie.
Last I
I
heard was
don't.
that it was under renovations, not that it
I
was
well, yeah,
closed.
well,
They're gonna change it to Princess and the Frog, I think.
yeah,
That's right. I did hear
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Because Zippity Doo Dah is such a thing known from Song of the South.
Have you guys seen Song of the South?
No, but I've heard that it's not nearly as racist as everyone seems to think it is.
It's really hard to watch because Disney has tried very hard to kill it. Because they own the copyright on it, which means no one else can print it or run it or show it without permission, and Disney just doesn't give them permission. And they've buried it in the vault for a very long time. And that copyright isn't running out anytime soon because Congress keeps extending these copyrights. So it's very hard to watch. I have seen it, but probably wasn't legal for me to have watched it, which is insane, right?
So
Well,
you're,
also,
you're admitting to felonies on air.
what's also interesting is the fact that I mean, it was originally released, I think, in like 1947, somewhere around then.
Pretty old, yeah.
And then they re-released it in the 50s and in the 70s and actually in the early 80s. So like they actually had re-released it
In our lifetime, yeah.
in our lifetime and only then decided, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't show this." But
Times change very slowly and then very fast, I guess, is the way to look at that. This thing that, for a lot of senses, it was fairly progressive for when it was originally made. This movie made in the 1940s had black actors portraying black people, which was not something that was super common. Not that, you would have other people playing black people, that happened as well, but anybody would care or have the desire to put that onto film for people to see was outside the norm. So
what's also interesting, so I listened to a podcast that has like the untold history of Hollywood called "You Must Remember This," and she did a I don't know how many episode series on the movie. But one thing I never quite got my hand or my mind around was it's part of the movie is like not based but includes Uncle Remus stories. Like that's where Brer Rabbit and everything comes from, and I couldn't quite tell like Brer Rabbit and all the Brer animals were apparently creations of slaves, but then the retellings by Uncle Remus aren't racist, but it was like I guess it was almost like a case of Elvis, where it was a white guy took the black stories and he became famous for them or something. And there's some blowback because of that.
Well, I think that goes to show that like not only do times change, but things that might have been seen as very progressive and forward thinking and diverse can be seen as very insulting and bad in retrospect, right? Like you look at Apu, for example, from let's reference The Simpsons again. I don't even know when Apu was created, but at the time, I'm sure the creators were thinking, "This is great. This is diversity. We're going to have an Indian here, and he's gonna. It's not just going to be all yellow characters, right?
Right.
But it's going to have diversity."
Yes.
And then, people started to realize, well, but he's a guy who speaks with a very heavy accent. He owns a convenience store. It's very stereotypical, and that's become problematic. And then it became like, and there's a white guy voicing him, and
I
then
was gonna say, and that's become a thing nowadays too, about people really care about who's voice acting these. Because I think Kristen Bell was gonna be voice acting like a black girl on some Netflix series, and she eventually was like, before they started, I think she was like, "Oh no, this is gonna look too bad if I do this. You should go hire somebody else to actually be this character," which is weird I mean, not weird. It's kind of understandable, but like that same show, Bart's voiced by a woman.
Hmm. Yeah, and like Ghost in the Shell, Scarlett Johansson played presumably what's supposed to be a Japanese character in the Ghost in the Shell movie and got a lot of blowback for that. You look if that had been made like 20 years ago, I'm sure people have been like thrilled that anime or that Japanese kind of culture was getting produced by Western media in any capacity. Who cares who was playing the character? But times change and perspectives change, and yeah, it's
Expectations have changed, I think, is fair to say.
yeah, expectations, right? Like, probably in a good way, right? Like we don't um just having an Indian character on a TV show isn't like good enough, right? It has to be a non-stereotypical, voiced by whoever kind of thing, and in a lot of ways, in some ways, in a lot of ways, it's a good thing, right? Like obviously things can be taken too far. I don't want to get too deep into heavy into that because this is a beer focused video thing, but you know
You got an
it is
article
what
about
it
that
is.
on Rapid Discourse, right?
Probably
I think you do.
sounds
Somebody
like something I'd have
you
written
wrote
about.
about Apu. I know. I thought.
That's what I was
That
thinking.
sound,
I thought you had a Who article specifically.
sounds perfectly cromulent. I'm gonna use that in every episode from now on. Yeah, no, it's probably it's right. I mean, I have some opinions on it, but you know, not something I need to rehash right now. I don't think.
Let's talk about
Not
beer for a minute, since we're
not,
all
yeah, not during Advent. Yeah.
the we noticed, I think, all of us, the fact that the beer had a substantial amount of head to start with, more so than many of the beers we've had so far. The flavor came on stronger, both initially, like our grumpy, but also it's been lasting. The hoppiness here has been much more like what I would expect out of an IPA, while still being a lager. This is not an ale like an India Pale Ale is.
Yeah, I've been noticing. I've been noticing the hops, not in a way I necessarily like.
Mm.
On the particularly on the second half
Second half of the can.
of the beer. Yeah, of the can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like pouring the rest in activated something different or something,
Did
or
you make sure to shake the can first to make sure that you mixed up all the
poke a
ingredients?
hole in it and shotgun it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
do a Stone Cold Steve Austin, just smash the cans together and
I had a parental faux pas at our local pool where one of
you,
my
you stab the
son's
can of beer and start drinking it.
one of my son's friends, older brothers, like by like 2 years, so like preteen, I think, for some reason asked if he could shotgun his soda, and his mom was like, "How do you even know what shotgunning is?" So I was retelling that then on the other side of the pool to another parent, and I forgot their little girl was there, who's my son's age, and she turns around and goes, "What's shotgunning?" And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a terrible person."
It's when you shoot someone in the face with a shotgun, a first person shooter.
Thank you, Big Cheney.
that's
It,
that's
it
not a
is
90s reference. That's a 2000s reference.
Hey, we're accelerating.
Yeah,
So-
there you go.
well, I think I mentioned COVID once this episode.
Hey, that's a
There you go.
2020 reference.
2020 reference,
Yeah.
not Barbara Walters 2020. There. Now I brought us back to like the 80s.
Nothing of consequence happened in the 2010s, apparently. Nothing that we need to reference.
No, not really.
Yeah. It's a dead time.
It's the best of times. We didn't have to worry about things.
Speak for yourself. I worry
Because
about a lot of
Obama was president. Ayo.
That's accurate for a lot of 2010, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For 6 years.
2008 to 2016, yes.
you look at, as someone of my personal particular political persuasion, I can look at Trump and be like, I don't like Trump. Well, he sure makes Obama look good. I didn't like Obama. He sure made Bush look good. I hated Bush. He was sure making Clinton look good. When Clinton was in office, I was furious about it. Right? So it's just,
You have not liked a single president our entire lifetime,
yeah, basically.
basically.
I kind of
That's welcome to the life of a libertarian.
kind of
Constant like
like
constant fury at like both political parties and the president.
and it's been getting progressively worse is the other side of this. And the way I look at it is like, well, at least the previous guy didn't do this.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh my God! With the well, the possible exception of maybe Obama and Biden, where there was maybe slight upticks, it's just been like a constant stream of progressively getting worse.
Well, and I think we've probably covered this before too, but I just realized I don't know if we've ever actually phrased it like this, but at this point, then Obama's Force Awakens, Trump is Last Jedi, and Biden is Rise of Skywalker, right? Where they keep trying to reverse what the other ones did, right? Like Biden's trying to undo and go back to the first one, just like they were trying to do.
We gotta go back to the future.
The future.
That works in some levels in the sense that like I do feel like Biden is in. I don't know if people fully appreciate how much of a disaster Biden's presidency seems to have been so far, in my opinion.
Oh,
Like,
so I saw a sign on the side of the road this morning that said something like "Way to go, Brandon" or something like that. And my wife said,
let's go, Brandon.
I think that's some dig at Biden. So
Oh, I love that so much.
explain it to me and the audience who might not be as enlightened as you are.
Do you want to go, Andrew, or should I go?
I'll try. So
Okay.
this stems back to an interview at like a NASCAR event where the sports journalist was interviewing a driver by the name of Brandon, and the audience of NASCAR fans were all chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden."
Pretty clearly, by the way.
Very
Like,
loudly
by all
and pretty
accounts.
distinctly, but the reporter is saying, "Listen, they're cheering for you. They're saying, 'Let's go, Brandon.'"
And nobody's quite sure if she was just completely oblivious or she was trying to cover up for the fact that it was very audible.
Whether
But
this was intentional or not, no one knows. But it's become a thing now where people say, "Let's go, Brandon," and they mean "fuck Joe Biden."
So I think we've talked about that before too, about like, so if I had heard that in conversation before seeing that sign and asking about it and then asking you guys about it, if I heard that in conversation, I would never know that that's what somebody meant by it.
That's how code works.
Yeah, well, correct.
well, and I think there's something to be said about. I think the code in and of itself is a little meaningful. I think it's almost poking fun at the media in a way to a certain extent because
The fact that it was a journalist who was either intentionally coming for it or intentionally mishearing or just oblivious to the fact that someone could possibly be saying this is meaningful because journalists are on the front of this. But there's also this understanding that many of the people who are saying "Let's go, Brandon" don't really like saying "fuck Joe Biden." They want to say something more polite, and "Let's go, Brandon" is all positive and upbeat and doesn't have a swear in it, so they can say it and they can have their kids say it and they can still mean "we don't like you or your policies, get the hell out of my office" kind of thing. My office being the Oval Office, but they can do it in a way that doesn't really upset their sensibilities. Whereas I think that in general, it's fair to say that liberals have no problem at all up and down the board saying "fuck Trump," which they did vociferously.
I feel bad for the next soccer game where somebody shouts out to their kid, "Let's go, Brandon," and somebody takes it as the code and starts a fight at a soccer game.
There's a Babylon Bee article with the headline basically getting that exact point. It's like father of son whose name is Brandon torn how to cheer for their kid at a soccer game or baseball game or whatever it is, right? And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Babylon Bee. It's like the Onion, but with a more conservative bent to it. So it's
bee like the buzzing bee or just the letter B? Okay,
yeah, like the buzzing bee. And so I think it's well, yeah, I won't get into it anymore. But yeah, I think Andrew hit on the head, right? Like there was definitely a coarsening of the discourse drink.
I've already finished mine, sorry.
During the Trump era, from both sides, all sides, whatever you want to put it, where like it became a little bit more acceptable to be like very vulgar referring to the president, right? Like Robert De Niro at the Academy Awards said like "fuck Donald Trump" or whatever it was. So this is like a code word of saying it for Biden.
Now I know. I think if you trace it back, you can always be like, oh well, the discourse the coarsening started here. Oh no, it started here. No, and you can like trace it all the way
Going on
back.
for
You can
generations.
trace it all the way back to George
Yeah.
Washington, pretty much, if you want to. Because I could think of like all the, all the racism directed at Obama, but even just like 2000, like everything that happened, like both sides between, like my naive political observation is like that's when the real divide started was 2000. Like
Right when you
up
start
until
paying
then, it was
attention.
like yeah, sure, like Republicans didn't like Clinton and Democrats didn't like Reagan, like whatever. But it seemed like really, and also that's kind of like when we all were able to vote for the first time. So it's kind of the first
Yeah.
time we, or at least I was like really cognizant of politics at that point. But to me, that seems like the real split, and it's never come back after that.
I suspect that has more to do with when you were paying attention than anything else
Right.
because I feel like, and I'm in the same boat as you, right? Like I wasn't super aware of what was going on politically with during the Clinton administration, but even I was aware of like a lot of the insinuations with how he was like just sleeping around with everybody, and Hillary secretly hated his guts, and the Clintons were like murdering people like because they were covering up for some giant conspiracy, and there was just like a whole um ugliness there too. And maybe it wasn't necessarily people saying outright "fuck Bill Clinton" or whatever Trump would tweet on a daily basis, but um, it was its own particular brand of ugly too.
Correct. I mean, you go back to Nixon. Then there were people that didn't like Kennedy. I mean, yeah, like we just said, you can. There were
Those
people that
damn
probably
Catholics.
they were probably the same. They were probably whatever the Tories or the Whigs or whatever that were complaining about Emperor Washington, probably. Right?
The Tories and the Whigs complaining about Emperor Washington. How many things do you think are wrong there, Andrew?
Less than you think.
Okay, fair. I can see an interpretation where all those things are right.
That's
The
right.
Tories and the Whigs, Emperor Washington.
But
I don't know if the time frames
is it the
match up.
Federalists at that point or something? I don't know.
But
Were there Whigs?
you had Federalists, you had Anti-Federalists, but they were very, very minor. And you had, Washington eschewing parties entirely. But it was complicated because parties were right there right from the very beginning because that's just how our system is baked in. And
Anti-Federalist seems like a very poorly placed party. Like you're placing your party already entirely just in opposition to another party.
everyone knows the Federalist Papers. Not very many people know the Anti-Federalist Papers. They
Of course.
exist.
Yeah. And
You have to find them next to the anarchist cookbook.
Yeah,
I've never read them, but I hear they're eloquent.
I think that Hamilton did a better job writing. I don't particularly like Hamilton, but for all his faults, he was very eloquent.
I've seen half of Hamilton.
All right, well, it looks like Travis still has a fair amount of his beer to finish, so I'm gonna toss out a
Yeah.
little bomb here. Who has been the best president of our lifetimes?
I'm in
And
no way, shape, or form qualified to answer that question.
our lifetimes start at Reagan, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, for all of us.
Technically, we.
So you got a little bit, Carter.
Who's you, Travis?
Yeah, both. No, I do. Yeah, not Paul. Yeah, okay. Because
All right, well,
technically Reagan was elected in '80, but didn't become president until '81.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so you can
I was
start if
born,
you like.
Reagan was already president, but
There we go. Carter. Haha.
that's just plain wrong.
That's a bold choice. I won't go so far as to say it's wrong because I mean I don't know who was the better choice over Carter, but
He builds homes for people.
He's a better person. He wasn't a better
Yeah.
president.
Right. Yeah, I guess if you phrase it as who's been the best person.
I think Carter's the best person. I think you're right about that.
From what little I know of him, I might even put him above Obama. And I know you guys would probably disagree with Obama as well, but what little I know of him, which is unfortunately mostly a punchline, but
it's really hard to argue against a man who's like 90 years old and still building homes for the homeless, right? Like I mean,
Carter is still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
I think so,
Next question.
as far as I know.
Unless something horrible has happened between now and release date.
Given the past year and a half, it wouldn't surprise me.
I will be very predictable and say Reagan. It doesn't make me happy to say it. And I think number two is Obama. So there you go. Like, that should tell you where I am in these things. I think that Reagan was a fine president. He made a lot of mistakes and did a lot of things that were very harmful, but he did do a lot of good stuff as president. He tried to make the federal government smaller, which is something I was in favor of. And Obama was president for 8 years and managed not to fuck things up more than most. So good job there.
So whenever I'm asked this question, and I know I was the asker, so I have no one to blame but myself. I always ask: is it the president and their administration themselves, or is it the whole circumstances surrounding it?
Yeah, it's
Because
complicated.
because I would say I would probably go with maybe Reagan, but my second would probably be Clinton. And it has less to do with the fact that Clinton, I think, was a good president, and more has to do with the fact that the Republican majorities in Congress forced him to be the whole situation with those two combined was one of the better outcomes, right? It wasn't. I think Clinton's inclinations were bad, and he would have far preferred to have done a lot of bad things. But I think having to deal with a Republican majority in Congress, I mean, we had a balanced budget for a while there, right? Like that's incredible and completely unfathomable now, and so that's worth lauding.
So, and we're going way, way far afield from talking about the guy on this can.
This guy was our best. Oh my god, I still have beer in here. Shit. Oh no.
Ha ha! Who's
Gotta
losing
catch up.
now?
Come on, guys, catch up. Get on my level.
President. Yeah. Otto von
because you-
Bismarck. He's our best president yet.
That's because you have such a big and I think this is actually a real thing, Andrew. When you have a big glass like that, it doesn't feel like you have as much beer, as opposed to when you're filling your glass. It mentally feels like you have more beer when the glass is all the way full, not half full like yours is always.
I never even gets the half full.
What is that made to drink?
He's a pessimist. It's never half full. It's always half empty.
This is made to fill with a half liter of beer.
I still can't see it.
It just looks like this. This is made to fill with a half liter of beer.
There you go. All right, cover up your face. Yeah.
Okay, so this line that you can't see is a half liter, and there's room here for head.
Half liter.
No, full liter. Sorry, full liter. Full liter. So this is a full liter stein.
All right. I don't even know which unit I want to ask it in. How many pints are in a liter?
Well, American pints or British pints?
Oh my god.
Whatever the hell your stein is in.
How about Caucasian pints?
This is in what? Okay, so roughly 32 ounces.
Okay. There you go.
It's more than 32
Right back to the beginning of
I don't understand
more
ounces,
about slavery.
okay, I understand
Just say
liters.
yes. Oh, you want to just say yes? My son was playing baseball and he looked like he almost got hit by the pitch. And the umpire asked him, "Did you get hit?" And he was ethical and he said no, so they kept going. And I don't even know what the result of the at bat was. But I turned to one of the other parents and I said, Paul, hopefully will get this. And I said, when someone asks you if you're a god,
You
say
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm glad he told the truth, but next time say yes.
Yeah, it brushed right past me.
I had a similar moment when I was a kid where we were playing volleyball in PE class, and I think the ball was spiked and it went out of bounds. I went up to go block it, and they asked like, "Did you touch the ball before it went out of bounds?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And my team was like, "If they ask you if you touched it before it went out of bounds, you say no. Like, why would you say yes to that?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it's the truth." So, yeah.
I also discovered that is antifreeze normally green?
I think it's normally a bright color of some type.
Right. So when I poured it out at the landfill this morning, it looked like I was pouring Slimer down the drain. So much so that like I stopped pouring it, called my kids over, and I was like, "Check this out! Look at what color it is! Like, it's that color to tell you not to drink it. So don't drink it because nothing. You should not drink anything this color."
That's really weird because I have never in my life considered the viscosity of Slimer. Like, he's a ghost, so shouldn't he be a completely ephemeral?
Well,
like where
color.
you can just go past.
This is
Okay.
color. Yeah.
But still, like even if it's the color of Slimer, like
The
I don't know.
viscosity of Slimer is ecto-cooler.
That's totally liquid though. Slimer's got to be more thick than that.
90s references.
I mean, come on,
It's
Slimer's
clearly thicker than that because when he slimes stuff, it's slimy and sticky
yeah.
and gooey.
Right.
It should be like Jello or something like that, like an ecto cooler Jello. That's what I always assumed.
Yeah.
The ectoplasm is 100% incorporeal, but upon contact with the corporeal, there causes a reaction that results in a substance that has a very high viscosity but still liquid, like a non-Newtonian liquid.
That was a lot of words.
Non-Newtonian.
That's
I know what you mean.
He wasn't even called Slimer, right, until the cartoon.
I think so, yeah, because it was just a random ghost in the movies.
He just
Yeah.
said he slimed me. Yeah, and that. All right.
I finished.
I think we should. We're all
I'm
finished.
good.
I think we should talk about this guy, or we're just going straight to the gladiator.
I've been sitting here for a few minutes, so I'm ready.
Sorry.
Andrew wants to go full Russell Crowe. All right, we're gonna.
Sure. I'm. Let's just do it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, interesting.
Oh, Andrew's the thumbs up again.
So
Wow.
this is a weaker thumbs up, where
Own your thumbs up, Andrew. Come
my
on.
thumbs up. But I'm gonna go with the fact that this was not my favorite beer ever. I love beer.
Listen to
And I did enjoy how hoppy it was. How it reminded me of like an IPA without being an ale. So that was great. But throughout, it was a little bit harder to drink than the very crisp lagers we've had so far. And I don't think it's the best representation of a German beer that we've had. It doesn't surprise me that this export style, therefore, is on the decline, but it's not in keeping with what our palates are for beers right now. But I still enjoyed it enough that I think it is worth at least giving it a try.
So mine was. I mean, you saw how long I took to drink it. That was kind of a commentary in itself. I think I was not savoring this one. It just became the hops just kind of overpowered it for me. I mean, it's nowhere near an IPA, but there is a reason why I don't drink IPAs and I drink hazy IPAs, because there's not as much hop to them. And yeah, so I've definitely preferred the crisper lagers to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this one makes me regret having given the light lager, the Hell's lager from yesterday, the thumbs down, because I would have preferred that one to this one. I mean, nothing terribly wrong with it, honestly. It was a little heavier, a little harder to drink. I kept on thinking while drinking it that this tasted like something that maybe Friar Tuck in one of your favorite movies, Andrew, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, might have been drinking during. It felt like something that hadn't kept up with the times, doesn't have like the more refined like flavors and whatever. Like it felt like an older kind of beer that just didn't have what it takes to be enjoyable in modern
I think
times.
you're onto something with that, where it's just not where we are right now with regards to beer. It is an interesting artifact from history and something that stands alone, and that's okay sometimes. It shows, as I said, these are not as popular now, and maybe that's for a good reason. It's just not where we want to be with our beers. I still enjoy it, but I did not enjoy it as much as the other beer that I gave a thumbs up to yesterday, right? So this was one of my weaker thumbs up.
Although I do have to give credit. I gave credit to the animal the last time. This actually has rampant animals on it.
Absolutely, it does.
Whether or not that's, I assume that's the guy's family. You said this was a real guy. I wonder if I assume that's his real family crest.
I don't know. I don't even know if I could look that up. I have no. If I can, I'll see if I can find anything out
That's
about
a Google
I'm
image.
suspecting that I will not figure that out for you for tomorrow.
Google image search, and it's going to show you this can of beer. Probably is what it's going to show you if you do that.
I mean, I got his full name, so maybe I can find something out from that, right?
All right, and what's Grapefrucht von? Problem is his feather covers up half the word. Mengesfer. I took 3 years of German. I swear. Dampfrau Brauerei something der. It's kind of hard to translate with the feather covering up half, or not half, but like 3 of the letters in each word.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
This is beyond me.
You knew 2 days ago when I was Googling the translate for something about hops made from Bavaria or something. So.
All right. Well, anything else to say about tonight's beer? Or have we said enough?
That's enough for me at least.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Join us tomorrow for Travis. What's after 4?
5.
5. Yeah. Is that German for 5?
Yes.
Oof.
Nice. All right. Can't stop the discourse.